A few days ago, a friend of mine said, I need help. I'm underwater on my mortgage. I bought my house several years ago. I think it was 2007 for him. He bought his house when it was about $300,000. And in today's values, it's worth only $200,000. And he still owes a bigger mortgage than what the current value is. He has about $260,000 still outstanding mortgage. So when you owe a much bigger amount than what the current value of the home is, it's an underwater mortgage. So he said to me, what should I do? That's a question and a problem that many Americans throughout the country are facing right now. They look at their financial statements and say, all these years, all these months, I've been paying down my mortgage, but still, the new reality is I still don't own my home at all because the current value of my house is so much lower than what I bought it for that it's really messed up my accounting of my house. So what should I do? Well, I think you have to ask yourself this question first. What is your goal with your house? I said this to my friend. You have a very nice job in this area, and I believe you can afford your payments, your monthly payments on your mortgage pretty comfortably. So if your goal is to just stay in the city and you can make your monthly payments going forward with ease, really one of the choices you have is to do nothing, right? You can just stay in your house even though it is underwater. You could live in it for the near future. So that's one option. But he said, yeah, I know I could live in my house and I can afford the monthly payments. That's not a problem for me. But that it doesn't feel right. What should I do? Because the mortgage that I have right now is so much more. It feels like I'm just throwing good money after bad. There has to be an alternative. And I said, yeah, there is. There are several options. But the first step is to go talk to your lender. Go talk to your bank, whether it's a bank or a credit union or a different financier that lent you the money through a mortgage. Just go talk to them. Say, hey, times are tough. My house is no longer worth what it was once before. And a lot of banks and credit unions these days have loan modification programs or loan restructuring programs. Some are federally backed through the FHA. But the first step is just to walk in and say, hey, let's talk. What are my options right now? So the bank might say, here, these are your numbers right now. You bought the house a few years ago. Back then, the interest rate was, let's just say, 8%. And today, the reality in 2013 is interest rates are much cheaper. Money is much cheaper. So it's anywhere between 3 and 4% right now. So they can restructure your program. Depending on how underwater you are, there's a limit for how flexible they are. But they can really say, okay, you had a mortgage back then at 8%. Today the rates are 3 or 4%. Let's work a deal out. Let's just sit down and talk about it. Let's see what programs work for you and how we can best work together. And one thing to remember is this. Banks don't necessarily want to foreclose people. It's one of the last things the bank really wants to do. It's not in their best interest. Now, it's definitely not in your best interest or anyone's best interest to be foreclosed upon, probably in most cases. But the bank, neither does the bank. They don't want to foreclose because the last thing they want is to have another house on their inventory which they have to take care of. It's just unnecessary expenses for them. They would much rather see you come up to an agreement with the bank to have some sort of a plan where you are still making payments on your mortgage, whether it's through the same mortgage or a restructured mortgage. So you would be surprised. Go talk to your lender and work something out. Option 3 is actually really cool. It's where you have a house and you just want to rent it out. Because a lot of people sometimes they find that when they have an underwater mortgage, their options, their freedom is restricted a little bit. Because let's say you want to go to another city to get a job, or you want to move closer to your family, or you just want to live in a different city now, but you're stuck because you have this home that you can't really sell unless you have the money to cover the difference between what it's worth now and how much more money you owe. But it's a tough situation. So what I recommend to people is talk to a real estate tenant placement agent who can tell you the average rents in your area, and just find tenants. A lot of times you might find that you can cover 80, 90, or maybe even 100% of your mortgage payment and utilities. Actually, wait, so mortgage payment from your rent, and when tenants move into your house, obviously they pay you the rent, and they can have contracts directly with the utility companies, whether it's water, heat, electric. They pay those off directly, so not even through you. So that's an option. And whether you manage that yourself or hire a property manager or someone in your city to handle the paperwork for you, that's definitely an option and something definitely worth looking into. Option 4, if you have an underwater mortgage, is a short sale. So a short sale, in short, is just when the bank agrees to let you sell your house at a price that's lower than the outstanding mortgage balance. So let's say, hypothetical numbers, you have a house that's worth $200,000 in today's values, but you have a mortgage, let's say $250,000 in outstanding mortgage, and the bank agrees to let you sell the house for a certain amount. Maybe $200,000, maybe $210,000. So, but that's a negotiation which you have to work closely with the bank and with your real estate agent. And in the end, if you find a buyer who gets the house for that price, maybe after a few fees, you can just walk away from the house because you've sold it, and you no longer owe the balance between the mortgage due and how much you sold the house for. So that's a short video for you on what you can do, what your options are if you have an underwater mortgage. Let us know what you thought in the comment section down below or on Twitter at HelloCashflow.